welcome viewers. Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist, fresh in from training and motorcycle riding. We've been for a ride up through the mountains, had a look at some of the bushfire areas. Not real good, but we're alive. We're going to look at the Jehovah Witnesses working together. Now, this is a real strange subject because some Jehovah's Witnesses work really well together. Other Jehovah Witnesses, as you look at this fella's face, don't go too good. We've got a beautiful picture of good friends work together in the ministry, which is very, very manipulative, isn't it? But I'll just keep this playing on the side while I do about a 5-minute introduction before we go into videos on working together as Jehovah Witnesses, and we'll get some Jehovah Witnesses that have actually done it to share with us. According to Proverbs 27:17, what can result when we work alongside fellow believers, as it happened in the case of Jeremiah and Baruch? Remember, Jeremiah didn't have the guts to deliver the letters himself, so he sent his scroll to deliver the letters. And when we work alongside fellow believers and observe firsthand their endearing qualities, what about endearing qualities is one thing. What about the things you don't like? That's another, isn't it? And that's the thing that's bringing the Jehovah Witnesses undone. The backbiting, the slighting of the other, the undermining, the whinging, the whining, the talking about people behind their backs, even though you can try and make it look good and sound good. And we learn from them to draw closer to them. Some people are going to draw closer, some people are going to fall apart, and that's just the way it is. Proverbs 17:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens his friend. In some cases, yes. In other cases, there's just people that it wouldn't matter if you took to them with a millstone and tried to sharpen them up. It wouldn't make any difference. For example, how do you feel when you're in the ministry and you hear your friend boldly defend his faith or speak with heartfelt conviction about Jehovah and his purposes? Well, that don't happen anymore. You just don't see that with the Jehovah Witnesses anymore. They just don't do it. They run off. Look, this lady's saying, I don't want to talk to you. I've got nothing I have to say to you. And it goes on and on and on. But what I'll do, we'll read this next one. I'm going to put some videos up about Jehovah's Witnesses working together. And then we're going to look, for example, how do you feel when you hear your friend boldly defend his faith or speak the heartfelt conviction about Jehovah and his purposes? I haven't heard or seen one Jehovah Witness at a cart do that whatsoever. Not one. Not one in the slightest. So I'll hand you over. We'll look at some videos and then we'll go from there. Thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist, New South Wales, Australia. Enjoy.
I was really and truly intrigued by my experience as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, because I really and truly felt like my family had put the Watchtower to its truest test. And I must admit, they passed with flying colors, because, you know, we actually thought this was the truth based on our own personal experience in the organization. And it wasn't until years later that we stumbled across, you know, the information about this not being the truth. And it was really difficult at first to accept, but throughout the years of dealing with many different congregations, and this is after I got married, that I started to see things start to crumble. But for the most part, as a child growing up in this religion, I encountered no problems, no issues with anyone. The elders in our congregation were wonderful. my family, we moved quite a bit because my father was in the military. And so we lived in quite a few places, including Puerto Rico. And everywhere we went, my mom, contacted the witnesses or went to the brothers in the congregation. And when we went to our new congregation, we were well accepted, well received, never had any issues. Because we were always the only African Americans in our congregation, we experienced the cultural differences, and that was about it. But other than that, we got along pretty well with the friends in our congregation, especially since my mother was married to a man in the military, and we were considered fatherless children because our father was not one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But the elders' wives, took me, my mom, and my sister under their wings, and we really enjoyed being part of our congregations, to what I can see. And I really believe a lot of that has to do with the fact that my mother was very active out in field service. And even though she didn't sign up to regular Pioneer, she was putting in Pioneer hours, So, she was hanging out with what we considered the cream of the crop in the congregation, the pioneers, elders' wives, all of that, So we never experienced any problems. I mean, one congregation I remember that I thought people were putting their name in a hat and getting it drawn out to get this fellowship, because I didn't know how it worked. I was 10 years old, and it seemed like every week somebody in our congregation was getting disfellowshipped, and I was sitting in my seat one day thinking, oh my God, I hope they don't call my name. But of course, I had no idea how it worked. I didn't know what was going on in the congregation. It didn't really affect me. All I know is my name was never called, thank God. Anyway, it's just amazing how this organization works, and the different things that people have to go through and endure throughout their lives and dealing with the organization. But I just wanted to say that I had no problems with this religion. I didn't have any personal issues, growing up in this religion and stuff. So for me to find out this is not the truth, it wasn't because I was having some issues with anybody personally, but like I said, I did, after I got married, I got a chance to see more into the organization, because with my husband being an elder and an ex-Bethelite, he talked about a lot of things and helped me to appreciate the inner workings of the organization. And I was privy to know about issues in the congregation, being an elder's wife. And so I saw things that did not, look too good, and other people may not have seen it because they weren't married to an elder, and they didn't know it, and nobody shared that information with them. But I knew it, and my husband was a little frustrated with some of the things that was going on in the congregation, and his frustration was mainly the elder body, seeing these grown men act like children on the elder body. And it was just really sad, how people's lives are at stake, and these brothers are acting like kids on a school playground, And so that's all I want to say is mainly for those of you who are listening to this video, who are still going to the congregation, to the Kingdom Hall, that you think that because everything is going well in your life and you're not having any issues with anyone per se, or there's not, you don't want to rock the boat, as it were. But just because there's no issues going on in your life, just because, your friends that you hang out with are doing right by you, or you're enjoying your little clique that you're in, does not mean that this is the truth. I lived it. I know that. I thought it was the truth, later to discover that it wasn't. So I'm just saying, don't fool yourself. Don't sit at the Kingdom Hall week in and week out not making preparations for your future, all to find out that there is no end that's coming in your lifetime, and that all those people that quit jobs to Pioneer, to go to Bethel, to forego your education, to work these menial jobs that don't really pay anything, later on to realize that you're 60, 70, 80 years old now, needing an income that you don't have, and there is no end coming, and you have no children, and who's going to take care of you now? Because as you can see, the society is kicking people out of Bethel now. Yeah, people are being asked to go home. And those people were told that they chose the best portion in life because they chose the full-time service. And now, what's their payback? What's happening to them now? They are being paid with a see you later, goodbye, it was good to know you. That's what they're getting paid back with. They're not getting any compensation. They don't have any monies that they paid into Social Security. So of course they have nothing, you know. So let's not get all this twisted. Let's not say, oh, Kathy, you're just sitting here making a big old speech because the society did you wrong. Well, actually, I did work a job. You know, I was not a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife, as it were. I went out and I worked a job. So fortunately, I will get Social Security or a pension. You know, I'm just trying to tell you to make sure that you get your fair share and get your due when it's time. See, I'm not bitter because I was fortunate. I think I was one of the fortunate ones after leaving the Watchtower because I got a chance to go back to school, graduated from college, I got a pretty decent job, and I feel like I've made some strides. I'm very happy with the decision to leave and my decision to do the things that I did after I left. And I feel like the reason why I'm here on camera right now is because I have an obligation. And that obligation is to give back, to give to people knowledge about this organization so that they can properly prepare themselves. Because I'm not here saying you should leave Watchtower. I'm not doing that. Because people have to make that decision on their own. But what I am saying is, for those of you that choose to remain in the organization and stay in the organization because this is what you want to do, I'm simply saying you need to go out and get a job. You need to get your education. You need to do something to prepare yourself for a time that if you're still living 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now and the end has not come, you'll have some money in the bank. Retirement, Social Security, something. Not just a broken promise and a broken dream. I know when people are young, a lot of times they say they don't even think about getting old or dying because to a young person, you know, life, they're invincible. Nothing's going to happen to me right now. And so they don't make preparations. It's not until it's too late that you realize, oh my God, I should have done something. I should have made some changes. I should have did this, did that, whatever you want to do. And then when you're a little older and you may not be moving as fast, you may not be thinking as fast, you may not feel like sitting in a classroom, it's at those moments when you realize that you should have done something. So I'm just simply saying, check your financial pulse. Make sure that you're on track, that should something happen, you got something in the bank to fall back on. Don't keep looking for an end to save you because it just may not come in your lifetime. And I'm just putting it out there. This has been Kathy Thomas with The Critical Thought.